Stop the Neji slander. Today, we're going to be going over why Neji stomps Sasuke and does pretty well against Naruto. I'm going to be referencing arguments made in the following two videos. With that said, let's get into it. First up is going to be Thunder God's video in which Naruto and Sasuke switch places. I actually had high hopes going into this video. I was really hoping the Neji slander wouldn't continue, but sure enough, it did. The debate starts off well, since New Horizons notes that while Sasuke has lead speed, he does not have his stamina. While it is important to note, in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't, but we'll get into that later. This, however, is very important.
It's basically known that Neji is stronger than Lee without leg weights. Like we know, like when they were sparring, Neji would win and things like that.
At that very moment, I had no qualms with Horizon's take on the fight, but then he says this.
Now the thing is that at face value, you would think like this is a very even matchup.
No, I wouldn't. At face value, this isn't an even matchup by any means. It's very apparent that Neji completely obliterates Sasuke. It was at this moment that I paused the video and thought, what the hell is he talking about? I also noticed how he downplayed Naruto by saying he had a quote-unquote small QB amp. Now you might be wondering, gee Owen, what's the issue? It was a small QB amp. Sure, if you're comparing it to part 2. However, in part 1, at this point in the story, QB amp Naruto is the strongest character we've seen fight. That's excluding Orochimaru, of course, since he technically did fight Sasuke, but you get my point. I'm not just blowing smoke either. In chapter 28, Zabuza and Kakashi both sense QB amp Naruto and think that they are sensing each other. Since Kakashi felt Kurama's chakra before, he was able to recognize it. Zabuza, on the other hand, could not, but he did note that it was too strong to be Kakashi. Now, that is very important, because if the Naruto that fought Haku was too strong to be Kakashi, then just how strong is the Naruto that Neji fought? And not just how strong, but how fast. Naruto went from not being able to perceive Haku at all to dodging Haku's blitz attempt, to counter blitzing Haku and catching him in midair. That's a huge jump in speed. And before you jump all over me, yes, I hereby acknowledge Haku wasn't moving as quickly as he was at the beginning of the fight due to chakra loss. However, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't matter. You'll see. Follow me, lads. The next time Kibi Naruto makes an appearance is in the Forest of Death versus Orochimaru. The encounter is super short since all Naruto really does is stop Sasuke from dying by pushing the snake's mouth into the ground. I don't think it's a hot take to say this QB amp Naruto is weaker than the one that fought Haku. He doesn't have a cloak and his wounds aren't healing. Naruto also doesn't have that insane bloodlust that he had versus Haku since he didn't just watch Sasuke die. With that said, this is still an incredible display of strength. While this technically isn't a QB amp, I still count it because Naruto draws on Kurama's power and because of Jiraiya's statement. The statement being that Naruto requires more chakra than he currently possesses to summon a Battletoad. When Naruto does summon Gamabunta, the amount of chakra he received from Kurama was just enough to get the job done. That's why Naruto got knocked out so easily in the manga when Gamabunta jumped out of the ravine. Anime Naruto is still out of chakra, he just doesn't get knocked out. That might not seem too important now, but that's a secret tool that'll help us later. This is where everything is going to add up or get controversial depending on your perspective, so hang tight. In the anime, Naruto says this.
Amazing! This is even more power than I felt before!
In the manga, Naruto states he's so much stronger than he was during training. The only time we see Naruto use Kurama's power during training is when he summoned Gamabunta. While it is quite hard to quantify exactly how much chakra Naruto needed to summon Gamabunta, it's safe to say it was more than he used against Orochimaru. I think the anime hit the nail on the head by having Naruto say, "This is even more power than I felt before." As in, ever before. That's not to say Haku Naruto was fodder or anything like that. Finals Naruto simply has better feats. To extrapolate on that, let's go back to the Land of Waves. When Sasuke 1v1'd Haku, both Zabuza and Haku thought Haku would easily beat Sasuke in speed. However, the opposite was true. While trying his hardest, Haku was still outperformed by Sasuke, which is why they emphasize Sasuke's speed so heavily. As shown on screen, Haku thinks, he is quick, and Zabuza thinks, what? Haku lost in speed? It is then when Haku uses his demonic ice mirrors. Personally, the narrative here kind of confuses me, because Zabuza claims Haku is stronger than him, but outside of the mirrors, Haku is absolute dog water. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Sasuke essentially gets one shot here since he pulled a Naruto in my opinion. He just kinda stood there, watched the mirrors form, then watched Haku step into one. Aight, ramble over. After Naruto arrives, Sasuke sits up and begins to think about the ice mirrors. As we all know, Sasuke couldn't see crap. He had no idea what was going on. He thought Haku was using shadow clones. There's no argument Haku is moving much faster than he is outside of the mirrors, but that's not Sasuke's main issue. Sasuke's main issue is that he cannot perceive, and therefore, cannot react, nor can he preemptively evade Haku's attacks. Shortly after Naruto enters, Sasuke notices Haku began to slow down. There's two reasons for that. The first is the crystal ice mirrors consume a lot of chakra. The second is Sasuke's eyes were adapting to Haku's movements prior to his Sharingan activating. Haku stated that he was trying to take Sasuke down, just like he did Naruto, but he couldn't, because Sasuke is preventing his vital points from being hit. Now, this is where the fun begins. Haku compliments Sasuke on his maneuverability just before launching his final attack. Knowing the attack is coming, Sasuke funnels chakra into his eyes to increase his odds of perceiving Haku's movements and accidentally activates his Sharingan. With the 2 Tomo and a 1 Tomo Sharingan, Sasuke was capable of perceiving Haku's movement perfectly, even though it was only for a brief moment. Now that Sasuke could perceive Haku's actions, he was capable of perfectly dodging his attacks while also saving Naruto. Now, you can probably see where I'm going with this, but in case you can't, I'll proceed. I already went over Naruto vs Haku earlier, so I don't need to do that again. However, it's important to note that while Naruto was fast enough to perceive and catch Haku, that's not too impressive of a speed feat compared to wounded Sasuke. So with that in mind, if Sasuke during the Land of Waves while fatigued could barely perceive Haku's movements, and then upon awakening the Sharingan could perceive his movements and even completely dodge them, imagine what Rock Lee would do. This guy, right here, the one that absolutely bodied Sasuke and put him to shame. This fight is a few weeks after the Haku battle, and there's no doubt Sasuke had been training. He has a 2 Tomo pair now, and it makes no sense to not train during that time period. Before moving on, let me reiterate, since Sasuke was incapable of perceiving and reacting to Lee's attacks, that means he was moving much faster than Haku was inside of his mirrors. This is weighted Lee, by the way. So here's what I've established. The Naruto that defeated Haku didn't exhibit any crazy displays of speed. You could make a strong argument that Naruto wasn't even moving faster than weighted Lee when he blitzed Haku. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt since Sasuke didn't appear to have any sort of mental amp against Lee, while with Haku he was in a life or death scenario. With all of that being said, we can get back to Naruto vs Neji. It's clear that Finals Naruto is stronger than Land of Waves Naruto for a few reasons. Firstly, Finals Naruto is a lot faster. It's clear that Naruto is forcing Neji to fight much more seriously now due to his newfound speed and power. If Naruto were only moving at, say, unweighted Lee speed, he wouldn't be able to pressure Neji at all. Sure, Naruto's punches would still hit like a truck, but Neji wouldn't have to worry about getting hit since Naruto would be far too slow. As a reminder, Lee's plan to defeat Neji was to open the 5th gate and hit him with the reverse lotus. He wasn't confident in anything else working. In the anime, Guy states that not even Neji could defend against it, further reinforcing the idea that the 3rd gate, and below, wouldn't be enough. Looking back at the manga panels though, Looking back at the manga panels though, it's a lot less clear whether or not Neji can make out Lee's movements, since there isn't too much expression on his face and he doesn't outright state he has trouble seeing him. It's kinda hard to say, to be honest. I'm of the belief that at best Neji can see blimps of Lee moving around. Comment down below what you guys think. It's not really relevant to the point I was making though, but it's fun to speculate. Personally, I would place QB Cloak Naruto around where 3rd Gate Lee should be in terms of speed. What's crazy about this whole fight is the fact that Neji is able to hang with Naruto perfectly fine until Naruto gets a mental amp on top of his QB Cloak. I don't know how many people are aware, but just before Naruto reaches Neji, he gets another burst of power. That's why Neji suddenly decides it's rotation or be pancaked. So take the Naruto that was already much stronger than Kakashi and crank its power level up a few notches. I know that took a while to lay out, but it was necessary to get us all on the same page. I'm sure there'll be plenty of disagreements with the scaling, but that's fine. We're gonna keep pushing forward. New Horizons then goes on to compare how Neji fared versus Kyuubi Cloak Naruto to how Sasuke fared versus Charger Gaara. Then he says this.
As for Sasuke, when he fought Gaara in the forest, that version of Gaara that's partially transformed is way stronger than Naruto with that QB amp.
I completely disagree. Charger Arm Gaara is not stronger than QB amp Naruto. When I say stronger, I'm speaking in terms of attack potency. The examples Horizon provided are primarily based on terrain destruction, which isn't a very good way to determine attack potency. If there's nothing better to use and therefore you have to use terrain destruction, be my guest. However, in this scenario, that isn't the case. The argument Horizon presented was Gaara easily cut through trees while Naruto only broke the ground beneath him. That sounds good on paper until you realize it doesn't. Let me explain. A character's attack potency can greatly outweigh its destructive capability. Those two values don't always have to be the same, just putting it out there. Now firstly, when it comes to terrain destruction, you have to take the narrative into account. What is the author trying to portray? In this case, Naruto is running at Neji while thinking about all the trash he was talking. You can see in this panel here that Kishimoto intentionally focused in on Naruto's foot to show the reader that very few rocks were being kicked up. Followed by that, we see Naruto is getting angrier. He then visualizes Neji looking down on him as he gets even angrier and angrier. Kishimoto then focuses in on Naruto's eye to emphasize Naruto's anger even harder. In the very next panel, you can visually see that Naruto's power has increased. Now, whether you want to call it a mental amp like I am, or you believe Kurama gave Naruto more chakra, it doesn't matter to me. Either way, the purpose was to portray Naruto's power increasing. If you look in the background, you can see Neji waiting to dodge Naruto like he had been doing since he transformed. However, Neji quickly realizes that Naruto is a lot stronger and, that's a big and by the way, moving a lot faster than he previously was a literal second ago. That's why Neji immediately goes, yikes, I cannot evade him, nor can I block him. I have to use rotation or I lose. Also, while we're revisiting this, it's important to note Neji didn't even get a full rotation off. That's how little time he had to rotate. If Neji started rotating earlier, he would have had much more chakra and space protecting him. Secondly, in Gaara's case, Horizon is correct in that destroying the trees so easily is a display of strength. However, destroying trees doesn't directly correlate into damaging other characters. Later on, Horizon notes that Sasuke was capable of fighting after being hit by Gaara while Neji was barely able to stand after colliding with Naruto. That's not only disingenuous, but it also doesn't add up. The characters are much more durable than those trees, so Gaara being able to easily destroy the trees means nothing when, you know, Sasuke is capable of tanking Gaara's tree busting strength just fine. If we're going to measure a character's attack potency by terrain destruction, then let's go back to the Land of Waves, where QB Amp Naruto punches Haku through the crystal ice mirrors, which are most definitely more durable than ordinary trees. The Naruto that fought Neji is much stronger than the one that fought Haku, so Finals Naruto could replicate the same feat and then some. And to you viewers, I have a few questions to ask you. Number 1. Which is more impressive? Slicing through a few trees, or slamming into a giant snake so hard that you instantly stop its forward motion in order to save your teammate from dying at the very last second? Number 2. If Naruto had instead slammed into Sasuke, do you think he would have gotten back up? Number 3. If Sasuke were in Neji's place with an enraged QB Amp Naruto sprinting at him with the intent of one-shotting him, do you think Sasuke would have gotten back up? Number 4. Since Finals Naruto was destroying the ground beneath him while running, and as you can see, Madara isn't, is it safe to say Finals Naruto is stronger than Madara? Now obviously I'm being a bit facetious here, but it's to drive the point home that Horizon's argument wasn't a very good one. Horizon then mentions how Sasuke was capable of dodging Gaara's attacks without his Sharingan, but to be honest, that's not an impressive feat. That just means Gaara is slow. And since Charger Gaara is so slow that Sasuke can dodge him without even using his Sharingan, Gaara would have no chance of hitting Neji. Horizon and Thunder God, however, disagree. They claim that since Sasuke can react to a charge of Gaara, that he could also react to and outspeed Neji, which makes absolutely no sense at all, of course. Both Lee and Guy agreed that prior to Neji learning rotation, the only way for Lee to defeat Neji was to outspeed him using the 4th and 5th gates, meaning that both Lee and Guy both wholeheartedly believed that Neji would be able to react to and box 3rd gate Lee. And as I mentioned earlier, if QB Amp Naruto is capable of pushing Neji to his limits, he'd have to be much faster than unweighted Lee, which also means he's faster than Gaara. At no point does Gaara or Sasuke come anywhere close to 4th gate Lee in terms of speed. Horizon's final argument is that Sasuke's Chidori is capable of cutting through Gaara's arm, which puts Sasuke's attack potency in a league that Neji's rotation may not be able to handle. Which of course, I disagree with. Sasuke was taught Chidori specifically to counter Gaara's sand. Chidori's lightning nature along with its piercing properties made it the perfect jutsu to hard counter Gaara. Although I will admit, I don't think the difference in nature matters too much. I think Sasuke would have been able to pierce Gaara with Chidori no matter what. That's just a little nitpick though, not my disagreement. My disagreement is with Neji not being able to block Chidori. Neji blocked an attack from an opponent with much more attack potency than Sasuke. QB Amp Naruto. The only difference is Sasuke has piercing damage while Naruto has blunt damage. While I think Sasuke didn't need the nature advantage to cut through Gaara's sand, it most definitely made it a hell of a lot easier. Against Neji, he has no advantage. Like I stated earlier, Neji blocked Naruto's attack without a full rotation, and he still got up. The explosion from that rotation dealt so much damage that Naruto was sent flying back as well, and even got knocked out of his QB chakra mode. You can tell Naruto isn't still amped because when Naruto climbs out, he's extremely rugged, and his fingers are bleeding. Naruto was able to tank that much damage being reflected back at him because he was amped by Kurama's chakra. What the hell is Sasuke supposed to do? He doesn't have anything protecting him. He has nothing. He's going to blow his arm off at best if he runs straight into Neji's rotation using Chidori. It seems people tend to forget that Neji was keeping up with Naruto just fine and wasn't expecting Naruto to get a random buff on top of the random Kurama amp he already received, so he was caught off guard. If Neji sees Sasuke jump back to charge up a Chidori, I highly doubt Neji will just stand there and do nothing. He's 100% going to start spinning the moment Sasuke starts sprinting at him. So with all of that in mind, how does Sasuke beat Neji? Sasuke spent the last month honing his taijutsu and Chidori. Those two only give Sasuke win cons against Gaara, not Neji. Sasuke isn't fast enough to outmaneuver Neji, and he certainly isn't fast enough to blitz him, or even pressure him at all, since at best Sasuke is weightless Lee's speed. Sasuke literally copied Lee's taijutsu. Kakashi confirmed himself that that's what Sasuke was focusing on during his training. He spent time visualizing Lee's movements. So since Sasuke is just Lee with less stamina and Chidori at this point, what is Sasuke supposed to do to Neji? If Sasuke tries taijutsu, Neji smirks and says, "You're in range." If Sasuke throws kunai, Neji will add them to his collection. If Sasuke throws shuriken, "Nice trick, bro." If Sasuke tries to use fire style, Neji will either evade it or use rotation. You can argue Sasuke's Sharingan will give him the perception needed to dodge some of Neji's strikes, but in order to move as fast as Lee, Sasuke needs to burn a lot of chakra, so he won't last very long in that fight anyway. The only way for Sasuke to win is to hit Neji with Chidori, which is never going to happen. The curse mark is a non-factor here because in order to use it, Sasuke needs to completely drain himself of chakra, which not only means he's out of chakra, but it also means he's paralyzed. Sasuke hasn't marinated in the ramen cup yet, so he can't just flick the curse mark on and off willy-nilly, nor can he use it efficiently. So in conclusion, Neji stomps and it's not even close. No matter what Sasuke does, he's always going to be in range. So at this point, I could probably turn this next part into another video, but since I've already scaled QB Amp Naruto and Neji in this video, I may as well keep trucking. What I'm about to talk about is Neji versus Gaara. In a sense, I'm going to steal Thunder God's video idea and replace Sasuke with Neji during the Chunin exams, then go from there. But before I do, I recommend going to watch Six's video about Gaara vs Neji, since I agree with what Six said up until the very end. Here's the first issue I had with Six's assessment.
So Neji should be able to just completely break down the sand armor and bypass it, put Gaara down. But Gaara has, just like Naruto, a way to get around that.
I personally don't believe it would be that simple for two reasons. The first being Kurama and Shukaku are inherently different. Shukaku doesn't grant Gaara a healing factor like Kurama does Naruto. I think the only reason why Naruto was able to overcome his Tenketsu being pressed is Kurama healed his damaged Tenketsu. In fact, the anime shows that exact thing. Naruto's chakra points may be blocked, but Kurama's aren't. Therefore, Kurama is able to exude chakra throughout Naruto's body to greatly enhance Naruto's regenerative properties, which in turn restores his Tenketsu points. Now obviously, that's not gospel, that's just how I view it. The second reason that should be more applicable to everybody is right after Gaara got hit with Chidori, he starts spazzing out. In the manga, Tamari says Gaara is suffering a reaction so he can no longer access Shukaku's power. In the anime, Tamari says Gaara's wound is too serious and his chakra is depleted. Personally, it doesn't matter which version you use, the fact remains that after Gaara sustained a bunch of damage, he wasn't capable of drawing upon Shukaku's power. I think the same would result from him being hit with a 64 palm since he'd receive a huge amount of internal damage, which would likely result in him undergoing another reaction. But hey, for the sake of the video, let's just say I'm completely wrong and have no idea what I'm talking about. Out of 10, Neji would still take the majority up until full possession Shukaku comes out. After full possession, Neji takes a whopping 0 out of 10. If it wasn't obvious, this is my main disagreement with Six's take on the fight. I'll play the clip just so you can hear it yourself.
When Gaara gets back up, him and Neji aren't going to be relative. He's going to be speed blitzing him basically.
I'm not sure how Six came to that conclusion, to be honest. He just stated earlier that Neji could hang with Third Gate Lee, which I agree with. I've already done this scaling of Finals Naruto, Neji, and some interactions with Sasuke v Gaara. We know for a fact that Neji's perception is much greater than Sasuke's. Neji's reaction time / striking speed is also much greater than Sasuke's. Allow me to take a moment to differentiate between the different kinds of speeds. First, there's travel speed. Think of a 100-meter dash, or in fact, think of how Minato was able to travel to the battlefield faster than the other Hokage. That's travel speed. Combat speed refers to one's ability to maneuver around the battlefield. Combat speed will generally be slower than travel speed since when you're traveling, you can generally just go full speed in a straight line and not have to worry about anything else. A great example of combat speed is Lee vs Gaara. Lee is able to quickly maneuver around the battlefield so fast that people can barely see him. Then, there's reaction speed / striking speed. I lump those two together because they're essentially the same thing. I wonder who would be a great example of reaction speed. Oh wait, Neji would be. What a coincidence! Nah, but seriously, one of the main reasons why Neji is such a great threat is his perception. He's able to slow down his opponent's movements to such a level that he can evade and counter attacks with ease. That's how he's able to dodge Naruto's punch and keep up with him in battle. When Neji fought Kidimaru, Neji's prowess was put on full display when he used the 8 trigrams 128 palms. Neji literally starts spazzing in place before we're shown Neji's perspective. I mean, just look at how much everything slowed down. Now that we've established the different kinds of speeds, this fight will be a lot easier to understand. I'll start off by saying this. Gaara realistically doesn't have a chance of hitting Neji. He just doesn't. In fact, Gaara's odds of beating Neji actually decrease when he transformed into Charger Gaara and Teddy Bear Gaara. The reason for that is Gaara's striking speed, combat speed, and his perception are nowhere near Neji's level. Let me get my receipts. The first one is a bit iffy, I will admit. In the manga, Gaara tried to speed with Sasuke, and Sasuke evades Gaara's attack without help from his Sharingan. If Sasuke is able to dodge Gaara without his Sharingan, Gaara couldn't have been moving that fast. The iffy part is, the anime takes a completely different route by having Sasuke use shadow clones instead. That's all fine and dandy though, because a few moments later, Sasuke activates his Sharingan and says, "I can't dodge him without taking time to predict his moves. Without the Sharingan, I'd already be dead." This is after Gaara grows a tail. Now Gaara did launch himself off of a tree, but it's definitely believable that Gaara's base speed increased as well. I could be disingenuous and use Naruto intercepting Gaara in midair as an anti-feat for Gaara, but that feels too cheap, so I'm not gonna do it. The next speed feat we see from Gaara is he blitzes past Naruto when he turned his back on him. Now, honestly, I wanted Naruto to die because he kinda deserved it for turning his back on Gaara right after Gaara stated he wanted to kill him, but that's neither here nor there. When you examine this scan further though, this is kind of an anti-feat for Gaara. Let me explain. As you can see in the panel, Sakura has her back turned to Gaara. The next time Sakura is shown, Naruto just noticed Gaara blitzing past him. If you look, Sakura is just turning her head towards Gaara. This is exactly what the anime shows as well. Sakura is then able to stand up, turn around, pull out a kunai, and assume a defensive position. That's a big yikes for me, Chief. Her feat is definitely easier to pull off than Sasuke's since she didn't have to move very far since she had no intentions of dodging. However, the fact that Sakura had ample time to react to Gaara's speed blitz is troubling. I ask you this, if that had been 4th Gate Lee speed blitzing her, would she have been able to react? Then on top of that, downscale 4th Gate Lee's speed to where you think 3rd Gate Lee would be, then ask yourself again, would Sakura have been able to react to that? Got your answers? Alright, let's proceed. On some Frieza level energy, Gaara transforms into Teddy Bear Gaara and continues to taunt Naruto. This is very important, so follow close behind me. Take my hand if you will. You good? Aight, let's light this candle. The Naruto that pulls this feat off is much weaker and slower than the Naruto that fought Neji. We know he's weaker because he doesn't have a QB amp, he doesn't have a mental amp, and he hasn't fully recovered from his fight against Neji. Gaara also isn't at 100%, but that's not relevant because neither is Naruto. In an attempt to save his team, Naruto rushes Gaara with a bunch of shadow clones and gets bodied by Gaara's wind-style attack. Gaara then proceeds to slap Naruto silly with attacks in an attempt to break Naruto's will. Like a true warrior, Naruto refuses to give up. Now, this is where the fun begins. Again, after sustaining a bunch of damage, Naruto rushes Gaara once again, except this time he spams shadow clones to close the distance. After landing the 1000 years of death, Gaara tail whips Naruto away, then gets heavily damaged by the explosive kunai. That is huge. Think about it. If he couldn't absorb the impact of that explosive kunai, how on earth would he absorb the impact of rotation's damage reflection? Another question to ask yourself is, if that explosive kunai was too much, how would he tank getting clobbered by Finals Naruto? Granted, he did say his butt is his weakest point. However, the point I'm making is Gaara doesn't have insane levels of durability or insane recovery speed. That's going to be a huge problem against Neji since Neji can cut through his sand like butter and is too fast for Gaara to hit. Gaara couldn't even react to and counter Naruto's Shadow Clone spam. How on earth is he going to hit Neji when a full power Naruto tried a similar tactic against Neji and got absolutely obliterated? Just think about it. Neji is going to easily dodge Gaara's attacks and cut through his sand, meaning even if Neji can't close off all of Gaara's chakra points, Gaara is going to have to constantly regenerate Shukaku's body, which is going to be heavily taxing on his chakra. If Neji hits Gaara with rotation, it's going to be even more devastating on Gaara's chakra reserves. Naruto getting his mental amp isn't even relevant at this point. If Gaara didn't go full possession, he would have lost to base Naruto. Now, in no world is this Naruto with a mental amp more powerful than the Naruto with a QB cloak and a mental amp slapped on top of it. That's what Neji had to deal with during the Chunin exams. Naruto was constantly getting stronger throughout the fight and in its last stages, he got a sudden surge of power that put him far out of Neji's league. Gaara lost to a Naruto that was nowhere near Finals Naruto level. So, I hope that clears everything up with Neji vs Sasuke and Neji vs Gaara. Sasuke and Gaara are simply too slow to hit Neji. Even if they somehow come close, Neji will just use rotation and counter anything they throw at him. Sasuke and Gaara do not have the ability to blitz Neji, nor do they have the power to blow straight through Neji's partial rotation that he used against Naruto. And well, it goes without saying that they definitely wouldn't get through his full rotation either. The only time Gaara takes the majority against Neji is when he transforms into full possession, in which Neji gets stomped. Subscribe to the channel for more overanalyzing Naruto content, or you'll forever be in my range. Deuces.
Ninja art and a video jutsu.